I love Pokemon Sword and Shield. I remember buying the game on its launch day and beating it within the first few days of owning it. This wasn't necessarily because the gameplay was addicting or the story was especially interesting. No, I had a completely different motivation to beat the game. Shiny hunting. I remember being unreasonably excited after getting my first shiny in the game. One thing led to another, and now I have over 900 hours logged. And about a year ago, I felt compelled to play through the game again.
Yoink.
However, this time I will be beating all of Pokemon Sword using only shiny Pokemon. And as an added challenge, I'll be using the hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which I will throw up on screen now. Anyways, let's jump right in. Unfortunately, the starters are shiny locked, so I sat through the 40-minute intro and played through until I was gifted Leon's balls. Now I can shiny hunt for my real starter. There are a lot of cool options on Route 1, so I decided to leave it up to chance. After only 18 hours, I was able to come across something very cool.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! What?
It's funny, watching that one back, I don't think I've ever been more shocked to see a shiny Pokemon in my entire life. I named my new shiny Nickit, and after doing a little bit of level up training, I almost immediately lost the run to some random kid and his Blipbug. Yeah, that was a close one. After meeting with one of the many withering old ladies inhabiting Galar, I start the first rival battle of this challenge, and it's a 3v1. I sent out Fox against Hop's Wooloo and started spamming Hone Claws until my attack was +4. The Wooloo went down to 2 quick attacks, Scorbunny went down to 2, and luckily Rookidee went down to 1, marking my first major battle victory for me and my team. While I may have won, I was not feeling very confident. With how close some of these battles have been, I contemplated getting another shiny, but I decided to hold off on it for the sake of progress. Instead, I went hunting for TRs that might be useful for Nickit, and I ended up settling on a moveset of Play Rough, Nasty Plot, Snarl, and Foul Play. After traveling through the wild area and facing some Team Yell grunts, I am introduced to the gym leaders of Galar in a very cinematic fashion. After all that, I make my way over to Route 3 where Hop is waiting for me yet again. This time, the fight went much smoother due to Fox's revamped moveset. However, there was one trainer that had the potential to do some terrible things. Schoolgirl Hannah and her Pancham were forces to be reckoned with. Pancham has a deceptively high attack stat, and it can hit Fox super effectively. Now that I'm locked into the battle, I can't really do anything except press play rough and hope for the best. Thankfully it worked out because the AI decided that tackle was a better move to use than circle throw, but I really should be paying more attention to these fights from now on. Since the last few fights have been really difficult for me, I gave in and decided to hunt for another shiny Pokemon. This time, however, I actually had a target. I nabbed a Vulpix from the previously mentioned Route 3, and with its ability Flashfire, I decided to target Sizzlipede. For those that are unaware, Flashfire increases the chance of you seeing Fire-type Pokemon in the wild, and with Sizzlipede's measly 1% encounter rate, this was going to be necessary. Besides that, there wasn't really anything else I could do to increase my chances because it and many other Pokemon are only found in the shaking exclamation point patches, which, unlike the overworld encounters, gives you limited control over what Pokemon you're actually seeing. So all I can really do now is start hunting and hope the odds are in my favor. As you could probably tell by my over-the-top reaction, this thing took forever to appear. While Shiny Pancham is cool, it isn't the greatest Pokemon for my team. Not only does its type overlap with Fox's, but Wolf's fighting type won't be immediately useful. On top of all that, it also has a terrible nature, which is just my luck. While training Wolf on some wild Pokemon, Fox evolves into Thievul as well as learning Dark Pulse. I settled on this for Wolf's moveset and then made my way over to the Galar Mine, which I cleared with ease. As you could imagine, having a fully evolved Dark type made the Bead fight incredibly easy. Seeing how I handily defeated Bead left me pretty confident in my team. This confidence led me straight into the first gym, rolling Wooloo and sweeping through gym trainers like they were nothing. Before I knew it, I was walking out onto the pitch with Milo, eager to obtain my first gym badge. My plan was to send out Wolf, set up a swords dance, and sweep with Gunk Shot. For the most part, things went according to plan. The Gossifleur fell to 1 Gunk Shot, and his only other Pokemon was his ace, Eldegoss. All I had to do was Dynamax and kill it with Max Ooze, but for some reason, I didn't. I don't know, I must have been tired or something. Luckily, a crit Gunk Shot from Wolf more than does the job. And I walk out of the gym with my first gym badge in hand. I was itching for a new Pokemon after having only Darkmons on my team, so I jumped straight into the next hunt. Before I got started, I went to heal my Pokemon at the Pokemon Center, and well, just take a look. What? I have Pokerus? While I knew Pokerus was a rare occurrence, I don't think past me quite understood how rare it was. Pokerus has an approximately 1 in 21,000 chance of occurring on a Pokemon after any given battle, which makes sense after the amount of Pokemon I've seen, but it's still pretty insane. But back to the shiny hunt. Route 5 offers a decent selection of Pokemon, but 2 in particular caught my eye. Both of these Pokemon would offer something I desperately needed on the team. Applin offering grass coverage for the upcoming water gym, and Dottler offering defensive bulk. Like Sizzlipede, Applin has an offensively low encounter rate, but luckily for me, Harvest has the same effect as Flash Fire but for grass Pokemon. While Harvest is good for Applin, it also increases the odds of me finding the already common Nuzleaf, which, you guessed it, is a dark type. The possibility of a Granny Smith was too tempting to pass up, so I took a gamble, and after 24 hours, I finally found something.
Yes! Yay!
Arwing is going to be an incredibly useful new addition to my team. It has great defenses, good speed once it evolves, and the ability to set up screens. So to say I was relieved to see this instead of Nuzleaf was an understatement. I did a little bit of level up training to get my team up to par and settled on this moveset for Arwing. I then faced Team Yell and made my way over to Holbury, where I go through a little bit more of the story, and after retrieving Nessa, I gear up to take on the gym trainers. The gym trainers proved to be no problem for my team, and after taking longer than I would like to admit to complete the gym puzzle, I began strategizing a way to take down Nessa. After some careful consideration, I decide to use the nasty plot play and set up for a sweep. Nessa leads off with her Goldeen and I lead with Fox and immediately start clicking nasty plot, which puts me at +4 special attack. I started sweeping and managed to safely take out the Goldeen and Arrokuda. After contemplating for a while, I decided to leave Fox in against Dreadnought and he takes it out in one shot. Nessa defeated. Immediately upon exiting the gym, I went back to the wild area for my 4th team member. The wild area is interesting because it offers an enormous amount of encounters in one single area. However, to make it easier to choose, I decided to split the wild area into 2 parts, above the bridge and below. I would start out this hunt in the area where these Roggenrola spawn plentifully in hopes of nabbing a shiny one for my team. I mean, just look at the shiny line, it's so peak. I actually tried doing the 500 KO method for this hunt, but I'll be honest, it didn't help at all.
Yes! Oh, finally!
Meteo takes the cake for being the longest hunt by far, clocking in at 46 very long hours. Meteo was only a little baby at level 8, so I had to do a bunch of level up training to get it on par with the rest of my team, which also evolved her into Bulldor. I tried to get the footage for the trade evolution into Gigalith, but I messed it up, so here she is. I chose this moveset for now and began to gear up for the next major battle. Oh, never mind, it's just Bead. Get out of here, dude. You are literally so bad, I will never lose a Pokemon to you. The next actually notable battle is the one against Marnie in the middle of a hotel. The battle wasn't difficult by any stretch, but something bad did end up happening. Both Fox and Wolf ended up over the level cap by the end of the battle, which means I won't be able to use them in the upcoming Fire Gym. This means that I only have Meteo and Arwing left to use, Arwing being practically useless against the fire types. After clearing the gym challenge, I make my way to Kabu while simultaneously drumming up the most brilliant plan you've ever seen. Step 1, send out Meteo. Step 2, win. Okay, well, it's a bit more complicated than that. First turn, I Dynamax and click Max Rockfall after being burned by the Ninetales, which halves my attack. Arcanine comes out and intimidates me to lower my attack yet again, so I retaliate by pressing Max Knuckle twice until my Dynamax runs out. Sitting at about half health, Meteo fires off a Stone Edge and picks up the KO on Arcanine. Kabu sends out his last Pokemon Centiskorch, which he Gigantamaxes. Of course, he outspeeds my slow pile of rocks, and I have to hope that Meteo somehow lives and doesn't miss the 80% accurate Stone Edge. Thank goodness I didn't lose Meteo after all that work I spent getting her. All jokes aside, it's time to get down to business. I do a little bit of level up training to evolve Arwing into Orbeetle, which is absolutely stunning, might I add. Then I make a swift decision on what my newest team member should be. I have wanted to do a fossil hunt for a long time, so I figured now would be the perfect time to do so. I had to use a separate account to do this hunt, but the odds are still 1 in 4,096, so don't shoot me. I am not cheating, I promise.
Yes! Oh my goodness! Whoa!
I named my new fossil friend Falco and transferred it to the real game to join the crew. Unfortunately for me, Falco is underleveled, so you know what that means. More level grinding, baby. Woohoo! I settled on this moveset for Falco and prepared myself for the next rival battle against Top, which, I'll be honest, was easy. I mean, the difference between our teams is night and day. I have 4 fully evolved mons and he has 1. And it's Cramorant. After that, I fought my way through some trainer battles, evolved Wolf into Pangoro, as well as replacing Taunt with Night Slash. After getting my Pokemon up to a comfortable level, I grab the Psychic TR for R-Wing and head over to Stow-on-Side to face the fighting gym. I do the best gym puzzle ever invented, fight some scrubs, and gear up to face B with my strategy being set up Reflect with R-Wing and Sweep. And yeah, Orbital is just so broken against B's team. I mean, just watch. I got hit with a physical max darkness from a Gigantamax Machamp and took basically no damage. So suffice to say, I won this battle pretty handily. After that incredibly easy battle, I am faced with an even easier battle as Fox rolls Bede's entire team. Bede unknowingly uncovers the secrets of Galar, but I couldn't care less, so I leave for Glimwood Tangle, which again posed no issues for me or my team. I thought about getting another Pokemon here, but decided against it since my team is already quite strong. Since I felt confident about my team, and because I was already so close to the level cap, and I was not going to make the same mistake twice, I went straight into the 5th gym. The gym trainers weren't particularly difficult, I had to do a bit of smart switching and things like that, but it ended up alright. I was actually pretty worried about Opal's team. She has many strong Pokemon that my team don't really have answers for, so would have to rely on strategy now more than ever. I led with R-Wing to set up Reflect first turn, then I went shot for shot with both Weezing and Mawile. I set up Reflect once more and switched out into my main strategy. I send out Falco and start pressing charge to raise my special defense to deal with a pretty scary upcoming threat. I also find it interesting to note that Mawile was fully parried every single turn after static activated, which is pretty lucky. I picked up the KO on Mawile and then Opal sent out her big scary threat. Togekiss. It's fast, strong, and has a good moveset, so this thing needs to die, and fast. It hits me with an ancient power that tickles Falco, and gets absolutely obliterated by a Thunderbolt. Since I saved my Dynamax to the end, I go toe-to-toe with the big cake. And because my special defense is so high right now, it can't really hurt Falco, so it was only a matter of time before it fell. Even Ball Guy acknowledges my superior strength and intellect. In all seriousness, that battle made me want a new Pokemon on the team to have a little bit more coverage, and it would get me up to a full team of 6. So I am going to get another shiny before the next gym, but that's a bit later down the line. Right now, I have another rival battle. I struggled a little bit against the Trevenant after some Confuse Ray shenanigans, but after that, it was pretty much smooth sailing. After finishing up a few random trainer battles, I was prompted with a decision. Route 7 and 8 both offer some great encounters, but after some careful consideration, I decide to hunt on Route 8. It offers many different types of which I don't yet have, and Pokemon that are all around pretty good. That and Route 7 had way too many dark types, which I already had 2 of. I was on this hunt for quite a while, so all I was hoping for was not to get a Girder and I would be happy.
That's shiny, isn't it?
While Hippowdon Shiny does leave much to be desired, it does offer some great utility for my team. I ironed out Slippy's moveset, taught Brick Break to Wolf, and since Slippy was on par with the rest of my team, I wasn't required to do any leveling and could go straight for Gordy's gym. I made it through the gym challenge without falling a single time, and after beating all of the gym trainers, I prepared another well-crafted strategy to carry my team to an easy victory. I led with Wolf in an attempt to one-shot Barbaracle, which didn't go great, so I switched in R-Wing to tank another Razor Shell and outspeed to get the KO. Gordy then sends out a Shuckle, which gave me the perfect opportunity to set up, and that's exactly what I did. I managed to get up 3 Iron defenses and swept the rest of Gordy's team with Body Press. Shortly after obtaining my gym badge, I am challenged by the rival of all time, and this time some of my Pokemon actually took some damage, but I still was able to win pretty easily with a decent amount of switching. I decided against getting another shiny before the gym and went through a bunch of story junk until I reached the other rival fight against Marnie, which between the combined efforts of Wolf and Slippy wasn't much of a challenge. Heading into the gym, Wolf and Slippy carried my team against the barrage of poison and dark types. This persisted all the way up until I met with the gym leader, Piers. Piers offers a different battle experience from the other gym leaders in Galar since he doesn't allow Dynamaxing. This ultimately doesn't shake things up too much, but it's important to keep in mind. I decided to leave with Wolf, which brought Scrafty down to below half health in one Brick Break, but for some reason I decided to switch it out even though I could have outsped the Scrafty and just killed it, but hey, sometimes I am dumb. I switched in Arwing to tank the incoming Brick Break and take out Scrafty with a body press. Next was his Malamar, which prompted me to set up a Reflect and switch out into Meteo. Meteo sets up an Iron Defense, and after that, KOs a Malamar after a few shots. Obstagoon comes out next, which gets one shot by a body press from Meteo, and finally he sends out his last Pokemon Skuntank, which easily falls to 2 shots from Meteo, marking another gym battle without any casualties.
No.
Of course I would somehow manage to throw away arguably my strongest team member. There were so many ways I could have avoided this loss. I could have easily switched out into a multitude of different team members who would have easily tanked a move and survived Skuntank's aftermath, but unfortunately that's not what happened, and I'm going to have to continue onward without Meteo. I thank you for your service, but this is where we part ways. So long, friend. Not all things are grim though, because now that there's a gaping hole in my team, I do get to hunt for another team member. The upper portion of the wild area has a plethora of cool Pokemon inhabiting its vast landscape. So I just ran around the wild area with reckless abandon until I managed to stumble across my newest team member.
Oh my gosh. No way.
Luckily, Pharisee doesn't learn how to blow itself up until it gets a little older, so I could just throw balls until it became my slave. I named it Andros, and like over half the Pokemon I've caught so far, it is way underleveled. Way to go, me. I managed to scrape together enough EXP to evolve Andros and threw together this ugly moveset prior to taking on the 8th and final gym battle. Game Freak at this point had figured out they could use gimmicks other than Dynamax in the gyms and decided to make this gym consist solely of double battles. The first and third gym trainers weren't difficult for my team at all, but the second one...
Oh, the second one.
That's a different story. As fate would have it, my team isn't great against fire types. The duo of Turtonator and Ninetales combined with the burns really gave me a run for my money. Most of my team was hurting, and I was only able to win because Turtonator's AI is freaking terrible. It just kept going for Shell Trap over and over again like an idiot. While I did make it out unscathed, this is going to be very important to remember for the future. After recovering from that dumpster fire of a battle, I prepared myself to take on one of the final hurdles before the champion himself. Raihan led with his Flygon and Gigalith. Ouch. And I decided to lead with Arwing and my newly caught Andros. After a very unfortunate critical hit from the Flygon, I have Arwing set up Reflect as the opposing Gigalith sets up Rocks. I managed to hit a Power Whip on Gigalith, but it wasn't nearly enough to take it down. The following turn, I withdraw Arwing and send out Falco in hopes of getting a static para on the Flygon, which is exactly what happens. After a few exchanged blows, the Gigalith falls to an Iron Head from Andros. Next in line is Raihan's Sandaconda, which is faster than both of my Pokemon on the field right now, and knows Fire Fang. This is bad news for Andros since he is 4 times weak to fire and probably gets absolutely smoked. After way too much time spent thinking, I decide that the best course of action would be to max guard Andros and try to kill Sandaconda with Ice Beam. Well dang. This was incredibly bad. I need all of my Pokemon in the back for G-Max Duraludon and wasn't able to do anything to stop one of my Pokemon from dying here. The fate of my Pokemon was entirely in this Sandaconda's hands. Or snake appendage. I don't know. And unfortunately, Falco gets taken out. In hindsight, Andros definitely takes a Fire Fang from Sandaconda while Dynamax, but in the moment, I was just too afraid of losing a Pokemon I had just gotten. Andros quickly uses Max Steel Spike to avenge Falco and KOs the Sandaconda. Lastly is the Duraludon, which Raihan will be Gigantamaxing. Duraludon moves first and uses Max Knuckle on Andros, raising its and Flygon's attack. Both of my attacks do nothing thanks to Flygon's Breaking Swipe, and at the end of this turn, Reflect runs out and my Dynamax ends, putting me in a scary situation. The next turn, I decide that it would be best to put the Duraludon to sleep and use Iron Defense to keep Andros alive long enough to switch in something that can actually deal some damage. Slippy tanks the G-Max depletion pretty well, and Flygon refuses to get full parrot again and uses another Breaking Swipe, making my life just that much harder. Andros gets off another Iron Defense, and on this upcoming turn, all I can do is hope that Andros is able to hang on. Duraludon uses Max Knuckle again, bringing Andros dangerously low. I use Ice Fang on the Flygon, hoping to KO it, but it fails to do the job. However, Flygon proceeds to target Andros with a Crunch, which he surprisingly tanks very well, and his ability Iron Barbs takes out the Flygon, leaving only a now asleep Duraludon between me and my final gym badge. I retreat Andross and send in Fox as my primary damage dealer, and after a Dark Pulse and an Ice Fang put Duraludon in the danger zone, the stupid thing wakes up after a measly 1 full turn of sleep and almost kills Slippy. My hacks have been absolutely atrocious this battle. I switch Slippy out just to be safe and take down Raihan's final Pokemon with a Dark Pulse, securing my 8th and final gym badge. Looking back on it, while I did lose Falco to this fight, it didn't hurt nearly as bad as last time. This time, the sacrifice felt necessary. If Andross wasn't alive and healthy for the endgame, I really don't think I would have made it out of that battle at all. This victory was all thanks to you, Falco. Fly high, you fossil freak. Now that I've completed the entirety of the gym challenge, there are only a few things left on my agenda. The first thing for me to do is replace Falco, and since this is probably the last shiny hunt I'm going to be doing, I wanted to do something special. Back when Sword and Shield first came out, I stumbled across a certain video delving into the ins and outs of curry making. To put it bluntly, this method involves you cooking up a curry and checking your camp afterward for a wild Pokemon. Every time you make a curry, which takes around 1 minute and 30 seconds, there's a 25% chance for a Pokemon to appear, given the curry is a Charizard class. Pretty rough, right? Well, that's not all. This method doesn't increase your shiny odds at all. In fact, Pokemon that appear using this method aren't even impacted by the shiny charm, so they are stuck at full odds. I could spend a ton of time talking about all the mechanics and setups of this hunt, but JFlash has a great video explaining it. I'll have it linked in the description if you're interested. Skipping past all the setup, which took hours on its own, I was ready to begin this gauntlet of a shiny hunt. Things started off well. I chose to hunt on Route 10 where you can find these Pokemon, and I was feeling really motivated and optimistic about my chances of finding a shiny. It seemed like I was making great progress as well. I had gotten good at making curries, and it felt like I was literally and figuratively cooking. That is, until I hit the 50-hour mark. Most shiny hunts don't ever make it this far, and one would assume that such a large amount of time spent would mean I am pretty deep into this hunt, right? Well, what if I told you that was not the case? What if after 50 non-stop hours of hunting, I had only seen 400 Pokemon? This doesn't sound bad on the surface, but upon diving deeper into the numbers, I was stunned by what I saw. I did some calculations just to see how long it would take me to reach odds if I were to continue keeping up this 400 encounters per 50-hour pace, and that is rough. To put this number into perspective, it would take me a little over 3 months of shiny hunting for 8 hours every single day just to reach odds. Of course, after putting all these pieces together, I decided to abandon ship, but I do still want to do this hunt at some point. And you know what, for the sake of it, if you guys can get this video to 2,000 likes somehow, I'll do it. In fact, I'll stream the entire thing and make a video on it. I may have given up on the curry hunt for now, but I still need a new team member before these final battles. I decided to stay on Route 10 since I was in town anyway, and kind of meandered about encountering anything the game put in front of me. Hopefully this half-hearted way of encountering Pokemon won't end up with me getting something I don't want. Well, I guess it's better than nothing.
Oh my goodness, we got it.
I'm gonna be honest, Klinklang doesn't bring much to the table. It's outclassed in stats by other Pokemon on my team, as well as having type overlap with Andross. Its only redeeming quality is that it has access to Thunder Wave and Volt Switch, allowing it to paralyze something and then get the heck out of there. I also gave it Shift Gear and Gear Grind in case the opportunity presents itself. Before I take on the Champion Cup, I have to get my team ready. I travel around Galar to collect some TMs and level up my team to what I deem to be the level cap, which is 55. Slippy ended up 1 over, but it was bound to happen the way the endgame is structured. You'll see what I mean later on. Regardless, I currently have my sights set on the first fight in the Champions Cup against Marnie, and honestly, I may have made a mistake. When I looked at the level of Raihan's finals team, I assumed all of the other teams were at least near his team's level, which is mostly true, except for Marnie and Hop. So needless to say, I won both of these battles very easily. After defeating them, I expected to move on to the finals, but no, I in fact did not. I was ripped away from the tournament and sent off to play hide and seek with a man-child and deal with a notorious crackhead. This reminded me of how clustered the end sequence is in this game. It seems like they couldn't decide whether to resolve the Chairman Rose arc before or after the Champions Cup, so they decided to resolve both stories at the same time, which I think was a terrible decision. Not only does the ending feel rushed, but it also completely removes the character from feeling invested in the Champions Cup at all. I truly believe the game would benefit from having the Eternatus fight and the Chairman Rose shenanigans all move to the post-game, which would also save us from the existence of these morons. Unfortunately, I completely forgot the story was like this, so my team is going to end up overleveled for almost every fight until the champion himself, so I apologize. Now that my team is even more overleveled from all of that, I can finally return to the Champions Cup, where I fight against the intruder known as Bede. What are you thinking, Bede? Like I said time and time again, I will never lose a Pokemon to you. Also, my HP is gonna go up just a little bit. Alright. Oh my gosh. I am such an idiot. No! Shogun, no! I just got him. I spent so much time thinking of what the most optimal play would be that I completely forgot Shogun was confused. Yeah, I'll be honest, this one's on me. I got too comfortable and lost yet another team member in a stupid way. Rest in peace, Shogun. Honestly, I didn't really plan on using you too much after this battle anyways, but it still feels a little bit sad. Fortunately for me, the rest of the battles went as they should have. Andros soloed Nessa's entire team, and a combination of Slippy and Arwing took down Bee's fighting types. The final fight in the Champions Cup, apart from Leon, is against Raihan. This fight could have been pretty difficult for me, but the combination of two swords dances and Turtonator spamming its favorite move while Pangoro was asleep allowed me to sweep through Raihan's entire team with little resistance. I thought about moving onward to the next battle, but decided to get another team member since, well, you know what happened. I decided to hunt in the Crown Tundra partly because I forgot I had access to the DLC, and I wanted a good answer for Leon's Charizard. Balamir Lake has Boltund, Eevee, and Tyrant, which are all good answers for Charizard, so that's where I chose to hunt. I was actually torn on whether or not I should get another Pokemon because I know these hunts have the potential to take a very long time. And that's exactly what happened. After 75 hours and over 11,000 encounters, I finally found the team member I wanted the most. Yes! Oh my gosh! Finally! Oh, it looks so good! Oh crap. Whoops. Tyrant is going to end up 1 over the level cap for the champion, but it's unavoidable because I caught it at level 65 and well, I have to level it up to evolve it. After figuring out Tyrantram's moveset, I resume where I left off before taking on the longest side quest ever and get ready to take on Champion Leon. But wait, what's this? Chairman Rose is evil? What? I rushed over to the Slumbering Weald, then to Hammerlock, where I descended into the depths of Hammerlock Stadium. Chairman Rose was down there waiting for me, and since my team was at the appropriate level to take on Leon, this fight went pretty swimmingly. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough to stop him from summoning Eternatus, and this fight was going to be pretty difficult for me. It took a combined effort from all of my team members chipping away at Eternatus and constantly switching until Wolf could come in and finish it off. And finally, with all of that extra filler nonsense out of the way, I can prepare myself to take on the champion of the Galar region for real this time. Oh, come on, man. Eternamax Eternatus may seem like a threat at first, but all I really have to do is keep my team members alive while Zacian and Zamazenta do all the work. Although I may have swooped in and stolen the glory right at the end. Mwahaha. Okay, it's finally over, right? No more random events stopping me from what I set out to do? Cause I'll wait. No? Okay, this time, it's for real. This is it. The moment I have been waiting for this whole time has finally arrived. Leon leads with his Aegislash, which, fun fact, is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and I choose to lead with Arwing in order to set up a free light screen while Aegislash uses King Shield. The next turn, I switch out into Fox to eat a Shadow Ball, which crits me. The following turn, I have Fox go for Dark Pulse, which easily kills Aegislash in its Blade form. Next is Leon's Rhyperior, which is most likely going for Mega Horn, so I switch into Slippy. Fortunately for me, Rhyperior misses, which allows me to get a clean switch and set up rocks for basically free. It takes a while, but he eventually falls to Earthquake, and Leon sends out his next Pokemon, Rillaboom. Since Slippy was getting low, I decided to try using Slack Off to heal, which worked out well after Rillaboom decided to use Endeavor at very high health. After that strange decision, I switched out Slippy for Arwing and tanked an incoming high horsepower. Bug Buzz barely doesn't KO, and I was expecting to get hit by an Endeavor here, but it goes for Drum Beating instead, which allows me the chance to kill it next turn with another Bug Buzz. Dragapult is his next Pokemon, so I switched in Wolf to eat the oncoming Shadow Ball, and since it doesn't really have too much to hurt me, I took it out pretty quickly. Haxorus then came out, and I was pretty convinced I could live a hit from this thing and take it out with Darkest Lariat, but that ended up being false as it knocked out Wolf in one hit. To be honest, I thought Wolf had a much higher defense stat. I mean, he looks like he would. Since it was locked into Outrage, I switched in Andros, who managed to eat a crit Outrage from Haxorus, which I found to be very impressive, and after a few Iron defenses, takes it out with Body Press. Finally, Leon sends out his ace Pokemon, Charizard. It hits the field and takes half of its health and rocks damage, and since Andros is currently what's out, it should be going for a G-Max Wildfire, which Tyrantrum resists big time. All he has to do is live this G-Max Wildfire with a decent amount of health. And he does it. The following turn, he lives a max rockfall and returns one of his own to take down Leon's Charizard. With that, I have secured my spot as the new champion of the Galar region. But most importantly, I did it with only shiny Pokemon. If you enjoyed this video, I ask that you please click the subscribe button, as it really helps me out a lot. And I intend on making my videos better and better with each upload, so if you like this, you're definitely gonna love some of the stuff I upload in the future. Especially if you're into shiny hunting, I have some crazy things planned. And hey, if you're interested, why not click on one of these videos I've got up on the screen right now? I'm sure they're great, you'll love them.